This is the Barbell Therapy and Performance Podcast, where traditional healthcare is redefined to help listeners achieve peak performance, accelerate recovery, and elevate overall health. Hosted by Dr. Brett Scott, a doctor of physical therapy and national strength coach, this podcast explores the worlds of fitness, alternative medicine, and holistic health. Each episode uncovers innovative strategies and practical solutions for those seeking to enhance their quality of life when conventional methods fall short. It is our firm belief that every living thing has potential, and it is our mission to help you find that potential.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Today on the show, we have Matt Ray, who has been a training client of ours for quite a few years now, and he is a professional BMX rider. He has competed at X Games. He's a super humble dude, and today I really just want to get into, there's a lot of stuff I want to get into with you because, I was always into BMX as a kid, and I love riding my bike, and not nearly that I got to any level that you did, but there's a lot here that we can talk about. So between being your coach and doing some rehab stuff with you, and then on top of the performance side, I think there's a lot we can get into. So, sure. Matt, thanks for coming on. I'll say too, you're one of the most humble dudes or high level athletes when you came. I remember when you came into the gym, I asked you what you did for work, and you're like, "Oh, I think you said I work in the BMX industry," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then
that's people that say, I'm like, "Oh, I ride bikes." And it's once they see on Instagram or something, they're like, "Oh, you really compete and stuff like that." I'm like, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and then it wasn't that long after, I was like, what do you actually do in the BMX industry? I ride, and I was like, "Oh, you're a professional?" And you're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then 3 weeks after that, you're like, "Yeah, so I'm prepping for X Games here, and we gotta make sure we taper everything." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I started looking up YouTube videos of you, and I was like, "Wait a second, this dude is jumping over 3 sets of stairs, flipping his bike in at 720, upside down with a tail whip," and I'm like, "But yet in the gym, you said to me, I had you doing fairly high box jumps, and you're like, 'I hope I don't eat shit.'" And I was like, "Wait a second,
I think too,
you'll do that
contest coming up. I think it was because you had me lifting too, and I was like, dude, my legs are so sore. I was like, maybe I should tell him I gotta start tapering off this because I do have a contest coming up. But it worked out well, yeah. I swear. Just from lifting like that, I was holding my bike so strong. But that was in 2019 too. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's just funny. So how did you get into BMX? I mean, I remember being a kid, I'd hit some little jumps and stuff in the backyard, but how do you get to the level that you're at now?
Just a lot of time on the bike, I guess, really. But it's funny when you say that, hitting jumps in the backyard as a kid, that's really where it all started. Just same thing, me and my friends just riding, building jumps in our yards, pedaling to the skate park in town or to the skate park in town over and stuff, and it was always just fun. But I think once I got my license when I was 16, that's when it was really wait, now I can drive to this skate park, or we can go here. Oh, there's a jam in Connecticut this weekend. Let's cruise out there. And then just kind of being exposed to all the other riders in different cities, and then seeing pros for the first time at bigger contests and bigger events. That's when I was like, wait, these dudes make a living off this? It's more than you can just get free parts or something like that. You can get a whole paycheck doing this or win at a contest. And then there's that whole start competing at the big events and all that. So really whatever you want to make it.
So my thing too, though, is I mean, I never got that high of a level because I think about myself and how this will affect me if I fuck up. Yeah. So for you, is there fear in your body when you're doing some of these tricks and stuff? Because people look at me doing weightlifting and they're like, "Oh shit, you're throwing 200 plus pounds overhead and catching it and squatting under it." But that's just me in a barbell. I am in complete control. I'm on the ground. I'm not going to fall, and I can get out of the way of the barbell most of the time. Yeah. I've yet to really get hurt by a barbell. So
I've seen some videos online of people getting wrecked by barbells. But no,
Yeah,
you can tell those
and
people
there's
just
a lot of people don't know what they're doing, but in your realm, like, do you think you just like don't have as much fear as other people, or like what is it?
I don't know. It's so tough. Like even how you say it's like just you and a barbell. Like I view it as it's just me and my bike. Like I've joked before. I'm like I ride my bike better than I walk. Just it's like I'm so comfortable
Hmm.
in the thing, and like I feel like I only do stuff that's like I'm very confident in. Like I'm pretty calculated, I guess, with what I do. But there's definitely things I've done that I'm like you start second guessing or thinking like, what is the like? Is there a point to do this right now? Like I filmed some clips where it's like, say I'm riding across like a bridge or something, or jumping down just a huge set of stairs, or grinding a rail. You start kind of playing everything through your head. Like, what if my bike breaks in half? What if the rail that I'm grinding breaks? What if the wind hits me? Like all these like little things. Because then you think I'm only doing this just to get like a 3 or 4 second clip that's gonna be in a YouTube video that we're like trying to make for our sponsors. Like, there's no like, it's not like if you land that clip, you're gonna make 30 grand or something. It's not like there's a crazy payoff, but it's just for the satisfaction. So it's like I feel like I really try to just stay aware of what I'm capable of, and then not listen to like the devil on this side that's like just do something crazy. Like just I don't know. It's just I guess I'm pretty calculated with what I choose to do, but that comes with experience too. It's just always kind of building up. Like oh, I've jumped down 10 set of stairs last time I was filming. I think here's a 15 set of stairs. Like I'm pretty confident I can 360 it. Because when I did the 10 set, it wasn't that hard. Just stuff like that.
Yeah, so like, do you do you measure any of that stuff? Like because all stairs are kind of structurally different
Like
too.
some
So
are
it's
longer,
like,
some are
do
steeper.
you, yeah, do you know like how far you can typically jump and like your like, is this like sniper trajectory stuff, or is this just like looks about the like, is this an eyeball thing?
It's funny. I feel like BMX riders and like skateboarders share the same thoughts. Because like I'll be driving, just even with like my girlfriend or whatever, and I'll see like a set of stairs at a school or something, and I'm like, yo, that would be perfect for like. But it's because like certain tricks, like a 360, I prefer it to like travel far instead of just do like a huge drop down. Because when you spin, like you absorb so much of the impact when you land. And like same thing with
Hmm.
skaters. Like you'll notice like people do huge kickflips down like monster sets of stairs. And it's like for some reason they can just land like the impact or I don't know what it I don't know skateboarding, but like certain tricks work for
Hmm.
different size drops and like the speed you're going. You can just ride off the side of
Hmm.
a roof and it can be a 14-foot drop where you don't have to clear anything and it would hurt so bad. But if you're going
Hmm.
like 5 pedals strong, like your speed just carries. So when you land, it's like we don't have suspension on BMX bikes either. So it's like I'm
Yeah.
absorbing everything. And I always try to land like right on my back tire, just enough so it like absorbs it through my legs. Because if you land 2 tires down, it's all in the wrist, and you get like that whiplash. So it's yeah, you really try to land
Okay.
perfect. But
But you're really still just eyeballing this of like, let me go try this, get used to it, and then like maybe up the ante like a few jumps later.
yeah, for sure. And just with experience,
Yeah.
like I've done this and it wasn't too bad, or I did that and it sucked. So it's like definitely kind of you get a feel for what you're capable of or what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. Um, and then I guess though too. So you mentioned, yeah. So like a majority of your riding, just like training, right? For me, it's like you're not doing it for anything besides to say you did it and like the pride in doing it. And yeah, maybe we throw a clip up on social media, but does your how does that affect your riding going into a competition? Like for you, there can be a significant amount of money on the line sometimes. So what changes for you in competition? Like, does that make you more apt to try bigger moves? Do you kind of dial in a little bit more? Like I've always the adrenaline of a competition, I can always do like 5 to 10% better in a competition than I do in
You
training.
have that like extra just like boost
Um,
in you that it's like, all right, I've been preparing for this. It's
yeah,
time.
but other people sometimes do 5 to 10% worse in competition because they're anxious and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, I'm not letting
Didn't
anyone
sleep great
fucking
the
beat
night
me
before
today.
or something.
Yeah. So how does competing in this like change things for you? Like when it matters.
Yeah, like it depends, I guess too. Like there's so much going into a contest. Like obviously, like which contest. Some there's way less pressure than others. But I don't know. I like the pressure. It's fun because it's like I always remind myself. I'm like, I've spent so many hours at these little skate parks around here with my friends. Like that's really where it's like that's what matters. Like I can show up to the contest, and as long as I can feel out the course and like hit the ramps, and like oh this ramp right here is it's more poppy than this one, so like you gotta make sure you don't pull too hard on that, or like all these little things that you kind of figure out during practice. Then like the doing the tricks and that stuff, like I said, I'm pretty aware of what I can do, so I try not to like get nervous. Like you definitely do the nerves get you, but they never like affected me too much. I feel like pretty good at like just locking into like I have 45 seconds. Like most contests is a 45-second run. I try to like before that, like the minutes leading up to it when I know I'm about to go, I just kind of like remind myself, I'm like, dude, you've spent so much time on your bike. Like, there's no pressure. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're just doing this because you are fortunate to do this. And fingers crossed, but that's worked well for me. I'm always like able to do the exact run I plan for the most part. Obviously, there's mess ups here and there. I've had crashes at contests and stuff, but it's always on something random that you're not really planning for. But I feel like just staying mentally
Mm-hmm.
focused and just telling yourself like, there's a reason you're here. You deserve to be here. You get to ride and do your thing. It's just fun. At the end of the day, you're just riding a bike. There's not much pressure. Soon you let the pressure get to you, that's when you'll mess up the stupidest thing. It's crazy how that can mess you up.
Yeah. So I feel like, from what I've seen at least, like the BMX culture seems like a fairly laid back group of people, mainly men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but do you see guys that like are kind of like more the anxious type that just like don't do well in it because they put too much on themselves?
Yeah, some people kind of like definitely never call anyone out, but like we all kind of like know like they're so good. These dudes could win this contest right now, but they just fold under pressure and just it's weird. You'll just see them mess up something so stupid or try to go like way too hard, and it's like, yeah, you ain't even got to do all that. Like you just want to tell them like just breathe, but yeah, or people party way too hard in the days leading up to it, like during practice, because we're usually if we go to a contest, usually there for like 3 days before, because there's usually a couple days of practice, especially if it's a bigger event,
Mm-hmm.
because they gotta allow like all the groups of people to practice. So
Yeah.
some people just kind of wear themselves out or go way too hard in practice that by the contest it's just like they don't really have anything left in the tank. I feel like it's yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. I definitely try to remind myself like all the hours at the parks around here are what really matter. Like going to these contests, just lock in, just you know what
Yeah.
to do. It's 45 seconds, just go put something together.
And do you? That's an interesting topic, I guess. Is so going into these, like, do you think it's more beneficial to have more time practicing on in these certain parks and competition areas, or is it better to like rest and kind of like taper your training down, like we like for a weightlifting competition, like the week before is your heaviest, and then we're each day like bringing down your volume until meet day, so that on meet day you are fresh and ready to go.
Yeah,
So do people do that in BMX, or is it not really a thought? Because I'm thinking, as your coach, like there are some variables here I haven't thought about before that we might want to start thinking about with you, of like,
no, no,
you know,
it's
proper
tough. Like
recovery strategies here.
there's definitely good. I guess it's good to have a strategy, but leading into X Games and stuff too. Like I was working on a big video last summer, and even just going up to it, like there's a few clips I wanted to do that I was like, nope, we're gonna wait until after X Games. Like we can come back for this stuff because I was like, you can win pretty good money at X Games and it's good publicity. Like it's like you're in the spotlight for that weekend. And I'm like, if I do something stupid right now and like even just bruising my heel, like something like little like that, it holds you back so much. Never mind like actually hurting yourself. Like so sometimes I'll definitely play it cool, but it's weird. I feel like for contests, I try to ride as much as I can right up to them, just so I'm so
Mm-hmm.
comfortable on my bike and I'm so like just dialed. Like just like oh, I've been doing this
Yeah.
stuff every day. Cause then even when you fly there, that's like a day off practice. You're not really
Yeah.
doing much, you're just cruising around. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
with your thing, like lifting and it's like that's way more calculated because like you can't have the muscle fatigue. Like you can't be hitting your what's it like PR
Yeah.
like personal or yeah like personal best
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
record like
Mm-hmm.
two like a day or two before you're going in to compete and like compete with these dudes who are trained rested like from what I can imagine.
Yeah. yeah, you can't hit a PR to well at a high level. You should not be trying to do your best 2 or 3 days before doing your best. Most people, like in weightlifting, a week out, we might be like going to like 93% of your
Yeah.
best. And then we drop down to like 85, 80, 70, something like that, depending on the person.
You know how like
So for that whole week leading up.
when you go to these competitions and stuff, it's like obviously around all other people who lift and train. But I feel like right now, or like the past few years, especially with like podcasts and people like getting more in touch with like health and wellness and nutrition, like how people are actually talking about the benefits of like strength training and lifting and using your body and like functional
Yep.
mobility and everything. Are all the
Mm-hmm.
people you're at these competitions with, is it all like-minded people? Like you can tell all these dudes like because they work out and stuff, like they're better in other areas of their life too, or is it people who are just like that and just psychopaths who want to lift as heavy as possible and be crazy? Because I have friends who lift like that too, and I'm like they're addicted. Like it's like their addiction is lifting. I feel like.
Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, and I would say that's a really good question. For people that are in the gym, I think everyone has their own why of why they're there, what situations might have came up or experiences they've had in the past that brought them there. And there can be similarities between people, but we can't bucket people into everyone lifts for this reason or everyone lifts for that reason.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
some people it might be a self-conscious thing. Some people it might be that they just value their health.
Mm-hmm.
I have some people that do very well in competitions that are very laid back and like don't really care, and I think that's why they do well. I have some anxious people that um, do great in training, and then when it comes to competition, yeah, they buckle.
Yeah,
And then um, there's a little bit of everything in between, and then I have some people that are very calculated and very even keeled and um, like stoic, like Brooke that I coach. That's we just came back from Pan Am's. Like that girl is just like her emotions aren't up or down; they're just pretty level all the time, which
that's
is
cool.
as her coach is great
Yeah.
because it's like one of the something really bad can happen and it doesn't affect her,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I am the one that stresses about that more than she does. She's just like, all right, and whatever's put in front of me, like I don't care. Like I'm gonna lift the weight.
Yeah.
It's like cool, awesome. So there's all kinds of different things in that realm, I think, and yeah. So it's just it's interesting to see like the differences between uh, BMX and weightlifting a bit because they are a little bit of a different culture, and I would say that I think weightlifters are probably a little bit or most like Olympic lifters and power lifters, probably most of them a little more neurotic as far as they want to make sure they're hitting their numbers. They're most people are gonna, be very oh, what's the word? They're gonna really like want to be on top of tracking their numbers, making sure their taper goes right, all this stuff. Where it's much more calculated and forecasted than BMX. Like, yeah, let's go out and ride today and do practice.
For sure. Yeah, and BMX
Where
like
like
lifting
where we
and
have a plan
training is
all the
not
time.
the most popular
Yeah,
thing, but
yeah. So, uh, but I think too, it's like I think that's an advantage you kind of have right now. Is like for you, we are calculating some of these things, and we're measuring what we can,
definitely.
right? So it's like, and I think there's a lot more we could get into with you too, as far as like tracking your sleep, tracking like what your vertical jump is day to day can be a big indicator of like how ready are you to perform today, or what level of performance should we expect from you today.
For sure.
And there's certain things we can track there that can make you better at that. But um, yeah, there is a lot to calculating performance, and I think even for you, it's like okay, if you're going to train 5 days a week in the gym and ride, and then even if we take out training for a week or taper it down, like you're going to super compensate and be better on your competition day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's an important part there. But oh, I was going to say too, do you want to just mute the phone? I hear your phone banging in the background there. Um,
Mine?
but I thought so, yeah. I wonder
Mine's
if
on
mine.
silent, yeah. There is
Cool.
something. My computer keeps doing a weird notification. I don't even know what it is. It might be
Oh,
an
okay.
email or something, but
Whatever.
yeah.
Um, excuse Matt, it's his fault. And so the other thing that I have been curious about is kind of like we said, like BMX and all extreme sports are kind of like the wild, wild west of there's not really a federation for it, right? Like there's no governing body.
There
You
is
have
for
X
cycling.
Games,
It's like the UCI, but they're just like BMX is
but is
just
that
getting into it now.
okay?
But BMX racing has been involved, but now BMX freestyle
Mm-hmm.
has been part of it for the past like 4 years because of the Olympics. So like now we have an
Okay.
Olympic freestyle team for the U.S. and so do other countries,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. But there's that whole
Yep.
thing. But they're pretty strict, so only a few dudes kind of
Um,
participate in that.
so, but as we've spoken about before, like you don't have a coach, you don't have a mentor in this, and I feel like most people probably don't. So it's like, what do you think it is that keeps propelling the sport to get to bigger tricks, more dangerous tricks, more technical tricks? What gets you to do those things? And why are you so motivated to keep pushing?
I feel like for like the progression of the sport, it's because so many dudes who come into BMX or like ride BMX love the sport because there is no coach. Like even like when I got into it, I think like the reason I loved it so much and I love going to the skate park was the freedom. Like I just be there with my friends and like I can just try the trick that I want to try. I can just you can kind of just let your curiosity take over and just like oh like would this work? Would this work? Like, oh, how do people do this? And just try it. It's like so much trial and error. And like when I was playing like Little League or Pop Warner, like I swear it's like the practices were one thing, but then just doing I don't know. It was just such a crazy environment for me, and like nothing against it. I think it's good for kids to play all sports and try it out and see what works for them. But for me, I just kind of got burnt out on like the coach and the having to rely on the team. If you're gonna do well, I really like the being the individual and like the freedom that BMX has, and just it's all up to me. It's all on me. If I fall, it's my fault. If I land something, it's I learned through the hard work and attempting the tricks and figuring it out. And I swear that's always done something for my brain. Like even just still to this day when I go ride, sometimes I'll realize I just focus on like I'm gonna try the hardest line I can at the skate park. And when I say line, that's like I'm gonna do a manual grind, land in another manual, do a bar spin, land in another grind, and jump into a nose manual and ride on my front wheel. And it's like I swear it's like a spiritual thing, or like if I'm stressed, I like to just go lock into that. It's just something that I'm like so comfortable with, and just can't really think of anything else when you're just doing those things. And it's like it's always been it for me. Is just kind of like being the individual. But I guess like for the progression of BMX, like I feel like there's so many dudes who are the same, who like kind of got into BMX because like they didn't fit in with the traditional sports, and they liked being a crazy person on a bike or like a dirt bike or a skateboard, and that's kind of why like BMX is full of like a lot of like party animals or just crazy people that you can just tell like misfits to society, I guess is a good way to put it, but like not bad people in a sense, but just adrenaline junkies who couldn't really do the structured sports, so was pursued the action sports and just decided like I'm gonna double flip a BMX bike or wait, no one's done a triple backflip. Like I'm gonna be the one to do a triple backflip. And honestly, the progression with BMX in particular, the last like 5 years has been out of control. But I feel like it's just because like Nitro Circus has built these compounds where people can go and train and hit the big foam pits, and X Games has given people the opportunity to film videos like all over the world and built the best courses that like we've really ever seen. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really think it's just because the action sports, like you can be the adrenaline junkie and be as crazy as you want to be, I guess.
Yeah. And so for you, like, were you wild and crazy as a kid? Because these days, like, you seem pretty laid back and even keeled. Like, you don't come in, you're not, like, I've watched a lot of documentaries on a lot of different riders and stuff and extreme sport athletes. And yeah, like, everyone, like, their parents and brothers and sisters would always be like, this kid was, like, untamable as a child and he was just go, go, go. And he was, like, off the walls. Like, was that you as a kid, though? Because you don't seem that way.
I wouldn't say like too much. Like I know my sister and like parents and stuff, they'll love to tell stories about me being crazy, but I was never like, I don't know. My parents were pretty patient with me
Not.
though. They gave me a lot of freedom. Like I never had. I even think about that a lot now that I'm raising my daughter. Like they didn't put like
Mm-hmm.
too many rules or even getting grounded. I probably got grounded twice my whole life, but it's like my parents just gave it like my sister jokes because I'm the youngest and like I have an older brother and sister. My sister jokes that like, oh, by the time you were born, like they gave up on you. Like I pretty much raised you, and I'm just like, maybe my sister like just knew like, oh, he's just a little, just let him be a boy, let him play. Like I was always just outside. I never got into video games or anything like that. So
Literally, that's the exact same thing my parents say about the difference in how they raised me and my brothers that are 10 years younger than me.
yeah,
It was just like yeah, we were like you were the first one, so we didn't want to fuck up. And then
yeah, you
once
were
my
like the
brothers came
big
along,
your
like
prized possession. And the next one comes around, like, all right,
they're like you turned out fine. Like there's a lot more we can let slide on the report card here and this and that. So,
yeah,
um, but do you think not having so much structure as a kid too, and kind of having more freedom in that way, almost like nurtured you to be like more of that free spirit that wanted to do, BMX instead of team sports? Where like, do you think, if you lived in like a military household with a dad that was in the army or something,
yeah.
that was like, you need to play sports, you need to do this, you need to do your homework, do you think you would have ended up in BMX?
It's a good question. Because like especially now, like having my daughter and being a young adult, like I think that type of atmosphere is good for a lot of boys. Like that would actually be great to have that structure and kind of the discipline to have like the strong, like masculine dad, I guess, and the not even like masculine, but like hard work, like
Regiment,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But for me, like my dad was pretty stern. Like if he raised his voice, that's like it was just like yes sir. Like there was no, he didn't have to spank
Okay.
me or nothing. Like there's nothing like just him raising his voice was enough to get like the whole house's attention. So, but he was also very supportive. Like he brought me to skate parks all over the East Coast, to Ohio, to Pennsylvania, like Florida. He brought me
Yeah,
everywhere for BMX. He made sure like if there's a contest or anywhere my bike needs to be worked on, like he brought me out to the bike shops and spent a lot of time and
that's
money
cool.
on me for sure with BMX. So he was supportive in that way, but he was never pushy. He never was like, "You need to do this" or "You need to win this contest." Or if he would see me get stressed
Yeah,
out, he's like, he's kind
yeah,
of remind me like, "Oh, you can do it. If it doesn't work today, try it again tomorrow." And it was like it was never much pressure, but he
yeah.
made sure if I had to be somewhere, I was there. And that's something that like
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be the bike rider I am today if he didn't put all the time and energy into me that he did. That's for sure.
Yeah. Um, and so speaking of dads, we've talked about this a little bit, and I've brought this up, and I've always been curious too of the helmet culture in BMX. Of like that Boston Massacre video you did a couple years ago, which is still wild to me that like you can pull some of that shit off. But I don't think he really had a helmet on in much of it. I'm like, damn, this shit's crazy that he's doing. So,
I know.
but as you mentioned, you've in the past few years become a father, and that's changed some perspective for you. So I want you to talk about that a little bit of, um, you know, why we're like, because you still sometimes don't wear a helmet, right?
I try to for the most part now. Like before, I'd only
What
wear
do
it.
you mean you try to?
I try to make it a point. Like since she was born, I was like, I gotta wear it as much as possible. But even still, it's like you
Yeah.
go, I'm just gonna ride the skate park up the street or going to do this. It's like it's so built into BMX to just like ride and not. It's I've realized it's the only area of cycling, like mountain biking, road biking. It would be so frowned upon to
Yeah.
show up. Not even frowned upon. You just look like a dork. You're like an idiot not wearing a helmet. But it's the complete opposite in BMX. There's this like stigma that it's like you're jockey or you're like a dork if you're trying to wear a helmet instead of just wearing your hat
Mm-hmm.
or looking fresh. Like it's really weird actually. Like thinking about it now. But growing up, like I just
Mm-hmm.
never wore a helmet. Like my parents would make me, and there's certain places you would go ride that you'd have to, like even to be able to ride there.
Yep.
But yeah, even the Boston Massacre video, like I don't know, just even especially riding street. Like I like riding street for the most part, and street riders in particular never wear helmets. It's just like you're in the streets, you're smoking weed, riding, being rebels. Like it's like, why would you wear a helmet? It doesn't make sense. Like, and not that that's really what it is, but now since my daughter's been born and I've heard she depends on me. Like, I wear my helmet, and then I was at X Games as well for a street contest where you weren't even required to wear a helmet, but it was such a crazy spot that they held the event at that I was just like, I'm putting my helmet on for this, and I had my daughter there, so it was like, it was one of those things I was pretty focused on
Hmm.
wearing my helmet at the time, and
Yeah.
luckily I was because crashed pretty hard there, and it was like my second go at the contest, and I smacked my head on the ground and got whiplash real bad, but I just feel like if I wasn't wearing my helmet, it would have been so much worse. It's actually scary to think about. Like, I don't know what would have happened, but I put a big dent in my helmet, and just ever since then, it's been put on every
Uh,
session.
Imagine if that was your skull.
Seriously. And my daughter was there.
Like
Think about that. She would have saw her dad just laying on the ground. Like I easily would have got knocked out. Never mind. I don't know how long.
you could have end, you could have ended up with a traumatic brain injury
Yeah,
and been
exactly.
like, in paralyzed to a degree.
Yeah, just
Um,
not able to provide for my daughter. Like
have
that would just because I didn't want to wear a helmet and look cool. And the rest of my life, I'm just can't like no, I can't do that to myself. It still
Yeah,
surprises me. I see other riders that have had kids in the past few years that like it hasn't clicked for them to wear a helmet. And then no, I don't can't judge, but obviously I can have an opinion. And I just think it's so stupid. It's just like why do that? If you don't have to provide
yeah,
for anybody and you can just be selfish and that's what you want to do, sure, go don't wear a helmet. But it's just nowadays it just seems immature to not wear a helmet. There's no point not to.
yeah. Have you ever seen anyone that has had like a significant brain injury?
Yeah, there's been a couple of BMX riders actually that have had like real bad crashes and they were wearing a helmet that have been
Yeah,
life changing. Like don't speak the same,
yeah.
don't walk the same, just not all there. Half their body's paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
there's this dude Scotty Kramer, who's BMX legend. Like anyone who rides BMX knows who this dude is. He's always been an advocate for helmets and like very professional, but, like top tier BMX, like the Tom Brady of BMX. Like the best there is. Just he's a good role model, and he had a huge YouTube channel, which he still does. And he was out in like Las Vegas or something filming, and he did this crazy jump over a ditch out there, like those big ditches, and he went to go jump over like a bush after he landed the trick, like the hard part of the jump, and he didn't realize there was like a little hole after the bush, and like his front wheel went into it, and he crashed so bad. And like if you go on YouTube and look up him, like his channel, Scotty Kramer, and see his recovery, it's insane. It's like the craziest thing I've ever witnessed. Like his whole forehead
And
was frozen in California while he was like on this side of the country in the hospital and just had to relearn how to walk, everything. It was pretty crazy.
he had a
He
helmet
was
on.
wearing a helmet. It's just like imagine
Yeah.
if he wasn't. Like he would have probably died. Scary to say, but
Yeah. 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 Head trauma is no joke, man.
yeah.
So, but that brings me to, like you said, it's like this is just my thing of being a coach and worrying about the safety of everyone. But it's like, all right, so this dude nailed the huge trick, but then like didn't realize this little thing existed. You know, caught a rut and smashes himself over. So like, why don't you just wear a helmet all the time and just be someone that advocates for that in the sport?
Yeah. I mean, I do wear it for the most part now. Like, especially on my BMX bike, I always wear it. But sometimes I go ride like my Fairdale. It's like a commuter bike, and if I'm on like the bike trail, I don't
Oh,
wear it.
I'd rather you'd be yeah. In that case, then you should be wearing your helmet just walking on 2 feet instead of the bike.
No, no. I should always wear it. I think I wear it most of the time now. But it's crazy actually.
Yeah.
I have a helmet sponsor. They're called Shadow Riding Gear, and I have a signature helmet with them now, which I even had before,
Mm-hmm.
and I still didn't even wear it all the time. But now it's like we've made it a point. Like they have certified helmets, super lightweight helmets, honestly the best in the market. But they said like, oh, we want to give you a signature one. So I was like, how can we make this thing as cool as possible so people actually want to wear it? So we
Mm-hmm.
thing's pretty sweet. We put like, they're not real, but like Gucci straps on it. So it's like the red and green straps. Just make it, because people want to wear like their baseball hat when they ride, or they want to wear their beanie. Like, so well, if you make the helmet
Yeah.
look cool, make it fashionable, things done
Yeah.
well. I see it all over the place. So
That's
yeah,
cool. And you helped design it?
yeah, just the colorways and stuff. They already had the mold and like the shape and everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I picked the colors.
Yeah, because you've had a lot to do with like designing bikes and stuff too, haven't you? Like, don't you have your own model frame and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I've been fortunate to
Yeah.
build out like a whole. I have a signature bike, like a whole complete bike that you can buy. And then if you want to build a custom bike, I have a frame and a lot of the parts to go with it that you can pick out. And it's all exactly what I ride and the geometry that I prefer and the colors I like. And geometry is the biggest thing though, because there's so many different ways you can set up a bike. So yeah,
Yeah, I heard you talk, and I was very intrigued by. You're like, yeah, we dropped this by like zero point 0.4 centimeters, and it lets me like
yeah.
nose manual easier or something, and just
So many
puts my
things.
center
Like
of
even the
gravity a little bit
steepness of the
different.
forks. Like you
Yeah.
do steeper forks and it makes a nose manual easier. But say if you ride huge like dirt jumps and skate parks and you're not really someone who does street stuff, you're not as technical. You want like your wheelbase to be as raked out as possible. So you do like mellower forks just so your bike's longer, so it's more stable.
Hmm.
But if you want like a super
Yeah.
fidgety bike, something that responds quick, if your wheelbase is a little closer, it's gonna feel like just easier to maneuver around. But then like the height of your bars, the length of your back end,
Yeah.
the height of your cranks, so like how low your feet are to the ground or how high it's like you can change everything.
Yeah. And so, have you had any major injuries riding?
Just
Knock on wood.
mainly that one that we were talking about at X Games, which I guess if you could insert the clip here, I could send it over to. But like that one, I landed.
We'll put it on social.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one I got whiplash pretty bad, and they had some medical team there, and I was talking to them, and like they go through the whole order until I go again, so I knew I have like 10 minutes until it's my turn, and like I was sitting there like holding my neck, and they were talking to me and like having me like do all these like movements and kind of feel my fingers and ask me like detailed questions too. But I obviously try to see if I have a concussion. But that
Hmm.
one, yeah, I didn't ride for like 2 months after that just because my neck just didn't feel that strong. It was weird. But honestly, I've been
Yeah.
pretty fortunate. I've tore my, what's the, in your shoulder, your LC joint or AC joint? Or separated or something?
Well, yeah, you can. Yeah, you've probably separated your AC
Yeah, I have like
joint
a pretty
based
big
on
lump on my
the
shoulder from
sport, and
that.
yeah.
But honestly, I've been, but I swear it all comes back to training. Like being stronger, just so when you do fall, your body's already kind of prepared for it. You don't have, like, I don't have scrawny shoulders or like feel like I'm pretty built out to ride a BMX bike. But I can imagine like some
Yeah,
of the
you're.
crashes I've had if I wasn't training and if I wasn't stretching every night and eating right, I probably would have been a lot worse off. And even still, there's some injuries that come back that I'm like, even just recently this past month, I had this stupid tennis elbow thing pop up. And it's crazy even just being at you guys' gym and having Tom look at it and feel it out and start doing the shockwave therapy. It's like just those few exercises he gave me as well. It's like night and day. It's weird how like tension in my elbow can just honestly like feel I can feel it leaving. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's some people get banged up very easily, or just these little things happen. They put them off for months, and it's like, dude, just get in here soon, and we can like. The sooner you take care of this, the sooner we can put the fire out, and like the quicker and easier you'll have going back to whatever activity is you want to do.
I think
So
training is
yeah,
just for
with
life. Like even if I wasn't riding BMX, like even just down the road, like it's
yeah,
just you have to train. There's no reason not to. Even like I hike all the time. I'm always up in the White Mountains and stuff, and just like doing deadlifts or box jumps. I swear I know such a difference when I'm out on the trails. Like I'll have to jump over like a little river crossing or a creek or jump up a rock, and it's like my legs are so springy. I love it. It's like I think you can just be a little kid forever as long as you take care of yourself.
now before you came to see me, you weren't really training heavy at all
No, I was just
with like weights and stuff as much.
kind of going to like just like best fitness type of gym. Just
Yeah.
obviously like with YouTube like how to deadlift, how to this and that, but I almost feel like would tweak my back or like not be confident enough in certain type of lifts, or even like just doing battle ropes, like not engaging my core enough. So then like by the time I'm done, like it's like my lower back's like stiff. So it's like coming to train with you guys was just like night and day to like learn how to properly lift and actually like warm up properly. Like if you're gonna be lifting, you gotta build up to it.
And how did strength training with heavier weight change how you perform on the bike?
Yeah, just having strong legs is crazy. Like I always thought I was just
Yeah.
strong, I'm in shape, whatever. But like when you're actually like targeting certain muscle groups and lifting like that, like even doing like a manual on my BMX bike, I swear like my legs feel like I could just kick my bike out from underneath me if I want. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's night and day.
Yeah.
Just holding my bike strong is one thing, and even just being able to whip it around. They go to the gym, it's like, yeah, I'll be sore, and I'll be like, oh, I probably shouldn't ride tonight. But then my friends are at the skate park, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to ride. And I'll think I'm going to be too sore because I was lifting earlier, or I had like a good day at the gym, like did a ton of arms,
Hmm.
like pull ups, bench, and whatnot. And I just feel like I'm beat. I can feel it. And then I'll go ride. As soon as I kind of loosen back up, it's crazy. I'll ride for 2 hours so strong. And we'll be sweating our asses off, just going, going, going. And wake up the next day, fine. It's weird. I'll think I'm like mentally, I'm like, whoa, I'm sore. Like I pushed at the gym today. Then I ride, and I'm like, dude, what? I feel better than I could have imagined. It's crazy.
Yeah, there is a level of tolerance that comes with it of like the the more you do it consistently, the more your body kind of gets used to it, right?
Yeah,
And we're changing things to keep you from adapting completely to it. Like we want a fresh stimulus not all the time, but sometimes we need to change the stimulus to continue to elicit adaptation. But
definitely.
yeah, you shouldn't be, especially with someone like you, of when we know you're training hard for sport all the time, the goal of you training in the gym isn't to get tired. It's giving you the minimal effective dose of what you need as of a stimulus to then have you perform at a higher
For
level.
sure.
Which so like that's by design. So it's like yeah, like we don't have you in the gym 3 hours a day because we know you're riding that long. Like you might be there an hour, hour and a half or so, and like that's all you really
I
need.
would say I usually plan my riding
Um,
too around like if I'm at the gym and I know like I'm lifting or like I know like Tuesday's a pretty heavy day. It's usually because I know I'm gonna be riding like Wednesday, Thursday, and then back to the gym Friday. So it's like those type of if
yeah.
I'm lifting like that. Like usually I don't go ride later in the day because it is like that's a heavy day already, and like
Hmm.
usually I'm just hiking or doing stuff
Yeah.
anyways. But like I said, I guess I was surprised a couple of times that I have. Like when I do leave the gym, like I don't expect to ride after, and then I do, and I'm like, damn, like I still got this. Like I'm not actually as tired as I thought I was, or not as fatigued as I thought I would be.
Yeah. Now, when you guys are in competitions, though, we've never really talked about this. So you said you guys have 45 seconds
It's
usually,
usually like two 45-second runs, best run counts.
and so does that feel like a long time?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
are you? Because like you guys make it look so easy, but
Contest I was just
like
at was a minute
how
run too. That was brutal.
how hard is that?
It's weird. It doesn't sound long, but by 30 seconds, like my legs are useless. But I like kind of
Really?
came up with a weird strategy. I think like first 20 seconds go pretty hard, and then like in the middle of your run, like make it a point, like where I know like I'll be coasting right here for a second. Like I seriously take the
Get
biggest
your wind.
inhale I could ever like, and just tell myself like, dude, 20 more seconds. That's all you got to do right now. Like, what else do you have to do? This is the
Hmm.
only reason you're here. It's like just try to give it everything. But by the end of my run, it's like my legs are so I have just jello legs. It's crazy. Like I don't know if there's a way to avoid it because it's like just so much riding packed in. It's just trick, trick, pedal, pump, trick, pump. Like because you're trying to keep it as consistent and smooth as possible. You don't want to look like you're like doing something crazy,
Yeah.
land, and then you have to like reset up. Like it's like smooth and controlled through the course as you can
Flow.
look, but that takes a lot of energy to do that too. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I have some ideas.
that all comes back to like training, 100%, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, like drinking tons of water. Like I'm pretty strict on those. Like there's like non-negotiables for me. Like yeah, I'll go party when I'm at contests or whatnot, but there's a lot of things like behind the scenes that I think a lot of other dudes don't do,
Yeah.
because you'll see some dudes get out there and 15, 20 seconds in, they're gassed. And they'll mess up like the stupidest thing. And you can tell it's like their arms, like, I know what fatigue looks like, especially like riding. It's like you'll see someone go to do something and they just have no strength and they completely mess up. Or you can tell they're taking care of
Yeah.
themselves now, that's for sure.
I was gonna say, like, just having watched you and known you and seen you progress over the few years, you are very health conscious. Like, you like to make kind of calculated decisions about your food. Like, I know you buy like you're a Whole Foods guy. Like, you buy your organic stuff and you're
You just give me such a
eating
hard
all
time with that.
natural.
Or no, it's the coffee.
All
It's be
but
like,
you're
stop spending so much money on coffee or Starbucks or something. Let's go.
but yeah, you make healthy choices. And um how much of that do you think gives you the upper edge on your competition? That's like, I feel like a lot of these kids are probably like eating fast food every day.
Definitely. Even just how casually people drink soda, like, blows my mind. Like, that's
Yeah.
big. Like, all day you'll see people, or you go out to eat with everyone from the contest, and it's just like,
Or energy drinks.
yeah, it's the other thing. I can't wrap my head around that. Like, maybe once or twice a year I'll get a Celsius like midday, just so I'm like, I could use a pick me up right now. But like, people do it every day. Like, I don't know how. Like, my body would crumble if I started doing that. I feel like I
Yeah.
don't know what would happen.
Yeah. And the the last thing that I always just I used to give you shit about all the time was, do you, maybe you laugh about this now because now you're like lifting pretty heavy fairly regularly, but when you started with me, like, you were so scared to lift heavy weights.
I was always scared
Yet
of pulling my back or like doing something that would like.
you jump over concrete blocks with two wheels under your feet and they're spinning around, moving out from under you.
But I've been doing it since I was so young, so it's like I don't even think of it like that. But lifting when there's 250 pounds attached to a bar, and say, all right, lift this up without, like, I don't know, something about it. I always like, even still when I lift, I'm always like, I try to focus so hard on like my breathing, just so like I'm fully like locking in the muscles and what I got to do. I don't know. It's something that still,
But
even seeing you guys lift, I'm just like, the weight. It's just, I don't know. Maybe just build up to it so it's casual for you. But still, to me, it's just I'm so cautious. I never want to like make my back sore. That's like my biggest thing. I never want to have a sore lower back because that's such a shitty feeling.
but does do you think about these things when you compete in BMX or ride?
No, but I've only
So
made
why do you do it in the gym?
my lower back sore from trying to lift at the gym. But that was like not with trainers or anything. This is like me going to the gym,
But
like, I'm gonna deadlift and just like straight to it.
and that happened what, once?
Yeah, something. But it's like that feeling is like it just feels so weak. Like, I hate that feeling when like your lower back just feels, it feels like if you look a certain way too fast, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but you're past that point. Just because it happened
Yeah.
once doesn't mean it has to happen again. And like, just because you went out to eat one time and you had a bad experience with the server or just the kitchen staff, whatever, do you never go back out to eat again?
I might not go back to that restaurant.
No. Yeah, but so
No, no, it's just
maybe we just take a different approach, right? We go a different way with it,
that was
which
it.
we've done.
Lifting there, I felt strong. I surprised myself too a
And
lot of
then,
the times. Like, I'll reps, do the
yeah,
math with the kilograms to weight or to pounds, and I'm like, wait, we're like almost at
yeah.
300, or like we are at 300 sometimes. It's crazy.
And then I think the other thing for you to think about too is that, like, we train certain ways for certain reasons, but also we're training to make you resilient on a bike. And the fact of the matter is, like, biking doesn't happen in a vacuum. Nothing is perfect about what you guys are doing. You're always landing
Mm-hmm.
differently. Like,
Like,
right?
you can be as
Like, you're
calculated
always
as
going
you
to land
want,
at
but
different
still you might land, or you might have
angles,
to
different
bail.
forces, different speeds. Yeah, you're going to bail, you're going to
Yeah.
fall. So, like, you shouldn't be worried about having to train in a perfect position or this all the time. Cuz like when you look at So yeah, when we're doing deadlifts and stuff, like we want to be cognizant of position so you have body awareness.
So,
But just because you move out of that position doesn't mean you're going to get hurt. The biggest reason people get hurt lifting weights is they're doing a poor job with load management. So they've typically ramped up too much too soon, or have been doing too much in an acute period of time, and they're not ready for that day. Um, Granted, there can be other factors, but like
people who don't know
those are the
like
big
proper
predicting
form, I
factors
would
of.
imagine. Like if they don't have someone to train with that has more knowledge than them, or essentially have a trainer. So you can,
Uh, um, Not so much actually.
yeah,
So it's still more of the data lies in that it has to do with load management. So you could do anything. Like plenty of people do tasks all day. Like look at like carpenters and like
I'm
masons and
actually
people
gonna
that are
ask
like
you
bending
something
over
about that
like
after. But
yeah. So people are always doing
mm,
those types of tasks repeatedly, and
it's a good point.
if
It's not like
they're
you
grading,
like a mason moving a big pile of pavers. It's gonna think every
yeah,
time they lift it, perfect form. Like
no, they're not thinking
yeah,
about that. Uh, they might be thinking about. I have a buddy that's in the union. They're thinking about their next coffee break
yeah, exactly. Like
that are tax pay. But no, it's more about that graded exposure. So because and look at how many times you. Let's look at the force of you deadlifting 250 pounds, right? So just right. So it's mass times acceleration, right? Versus okay, now let's take that weight out of your hand, but let's keep your body weight in the equation and watch you land. Like that's much more force.
damn, I guess I never thought
Uh,
about that.
Yeah. So we're building you to be strong and resilient. And like the thing is, weak things don't break. Like no matter which way you try to skin the cat, weak things don't break. So if you've been exposed to something, you're going to be more resilient to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
That kind of leads me into like
um,
a question I do have for you. You know, say weak
yeah,
things don't break. Like as of recently, I've been like putting in hours with a plumbing apprenticeship just because I've had time, especially now my daughter's been born. I've had more free time, like where I'm not traveling as much, and COVID slowed a lot of things down. Yeah.
that's probably why your elbow hurts.
No, definitely is why my elbow hurts. Just on the tools, 8 hours, and
Yep.
come to the gym and ride. Like definitely overdid it for myself. But on the tennis elbow thing that happened, and that's because like working and riding a ton. But something that's been on my mind a ton lately, which is like to pursue plumbing, like long term, and just because I don't know if I'm like an office guy, so I'm kind of exploring like other careers right now. Like I'll always ride, and like I definitely still have like let's say 3 to 5 years in me to be pro rider, and I still want to compete. I'm still gonna work on videos and still maintain my sponsors, and we have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
we still have a lot of things planned, and I'm there for it. Like I owe everything to my sponsors. Like I love it, and I love
Yeah.
BMX. I want to keep riding, but like I'm curious with plumbing, and like I'm definitely kind of all in right now with it. But like long term, like you see the old tradesmen who are just all banged up. You see these dudes who are just weathered, and it's just like being on construction sites and job sites and seeing dudes like that. It gives you that feeling of like, whoa, like should I just pack up the tools now and stop this? Because I will not end up like that. Like I can't end up like that. But then I think about it, and I'm like, these dudes smoking pack 2 packs a day. They're drinking beers as soon
Uh,
as 3 o'clock hits. They're not stretching. They're not getting proper sleep. They're gas station food, gas station energy drinks. Like there's so many other factors
yeah.
because you read like the trades or the skilled trades just beat you up, and I'm like, when I work all day, like I drink like a gallon of water just by 2, 3 o'clock, and then I come to the gym. I
Yeah.
feel so strong, but I'm like, I don't know if it's just because I'm like young and like when I'm 35 or 40 or 45, like even that I still think is young. But I'm like, what's your opinion on that? Do you think it's sustainable to like work a trades job as long as you take care of yourself, or do you think just like with normal like our anatomy, like we do wear and tear, like our bodies break down as we age? It's like known. But, like how much of that is like I don't know. I guess you get what I'm saying. Like,
So yeah, yeah. So my I had a mentor once that had this great saying, and she said, um, "Genetics loads the barrel, environment pulls the trigger."
damn,
So, environment and behaviors pull the trigger, right? So it's like we're all given some certain set of genetics, Granted, we influence those genetics on a daily basis based on our actions and beliefs and everything too. But
Definitely.
um, so yeah, what environment and what environment are you putting yourself in, and what are you doing? So yeah, let's not look at just the job itself and oh yeah, there's so much on like oh I got worn down from this and that and I got this beat my body up. It's like you didn't take care of your body.
Hmm.
Like yeah, if you do this one repetitive task all day, we will get to this point of you will have adaptations in that realm. Sometimes those might be good for the job itself, but you also need variability. And so a lot of these people are missing variability. Like see it all the time with like electricians and maybe plumbers that are like overhead a lot of they're kind of leaning back and this and that, their hands are in front of them. Well, they get these super stiff shoulders, but none of them are going home and yeah, working on their T-spine mobility or doing overhead presses to maintain their mobility. So we see these adaptations down the line because of work, not because of work, we're seeing adaptations with work, but they're not giving themselves any variance from that. So they're overly adapted to maybe work and life. And let's look at the behaviors of a typical blue collar worker is,
Hmm.
yeah, they're, not not sleeping right. They're having energy drinks for breakfast, Dunkin' Donuts coffee for lunch, a pack of cigarettes by lunchtime,
No, no.
and then yeah, they're boozing by 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day, and then smoking cigars and cigarettes or whatever on the weekends. Like, yeah, that doesn't make for a good
Yeah.
lifestyle. And then a lot of them just aren't that health literate. In the same breath, though,
I don't think a sedentary
you could
life's
see
like any better, but I just think
it's not.
those people are a little
I see
more
plenty of,
educated on their behaviors. So it's like they're not, but
and
I don't
so
know. I don't know people in that environment as much.
that's the difference is the education.
Mm.
I think that's my own thing is people that are educated, um, and some people that do sit all day are still motivated to go out and work out and this and that. I think a lot of people that do manual labor, like the gym becomes an afterthought. It's like, oh, I was working all day.
Hmm.
I would never lose that. Maybe you do less than you would if you worked in an office. Is you probably if you're working in an office, you should be doing more working out than someone that's doing construction for a living. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, everyone should be training regardless of your activity level, in my mind, so that we don't become just overly stuck in one way, right? So
I
it's
guess
a good question.
looking forward, like, or if it is something I stick with, I guess I view it as like if there is repetitive motions, like be very aware of that. Like some of you guys, like this week we're doing a ton of this. Like that means when you go to the gym after work, like make it a point to kind of like
Yeah,
counter that.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like anything you do. So like with plumbers, construction workers, carpenters, whatever, like there's a ton of forward flexing. It's like,
Mm.
okay, you keep doing this one thing, but like, are you ever going in the other direction and extending your back? And it's like, oh no. It's like, well, let's half of my patients. That's the simple principle is like, you're doing too much of this, not enough of that. Let's go in the other direction with things now and add more of that into your daily
Have
life.
you had experience with like a lot of tradesmen coming in for like
Oh
PT
yeah,
and stuff? Yeah.
yeah, all the
Yeah.
time. So yeah, we work. Most of my friends are blue collar guys actually.
Oh, nice.
Um, and then yeah, we have alliances with like some of the unions and stuff too. So
Your friends who are blue
we
collar, do they
treat a lot of
train
them.
as well, or some of them?
A few of them do, most of them
Yeah.
don't. But you see a difference in the ones that go to the gym every day and are in better shape. They move better. They're not as hurt as the ones that just, yeah, come home at 3 o'clock, have a
Or
beer,
grass
turn on
and
the
that.
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a difference maker, man. The gym is there to prevent injury and future disease.
For
So
sure.
that's just yeah, it's just you got to make sure you're not doing too much of one thing at any one time, and just slowly, gradually exposing yourself to more and more, not all at once. It's like what I tell people too. I say the devil is in the dosage. So people will look at something and go, "I got hurt doing deadlifts," or "Deadlifts hurt my back," and it's like, no, no, you got hurt doing deadlifts. Deadlifts did not hurt your back. You got hurt doing deadlifts. because of the factors leading up to that, probably. So it wasn't anything you might have done wrong in your technique or you have a bad back. It's just that you did 30% more this week than you've done any other previous week, and maybe too, you weren't recovered enough and you hadn't slept well and you had high stress. And uh, some people have like GI stuff going on too that can really affect that. So it's like all those factors are what led to you getting hurt, and it just happened so to be on the deadlift, which
The deadlift
is a high
essentially
amount of
triggered it, but there's
force.
a million other factors.
Yeah. So you're trying to express a high amount of force during that time, and it's not that it was the deadlift that did it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing to always keep in mind. So with that and life, it's just like, yeah, any too much of anything all at one time like isn't good, right?
That's even something I'm trying to figure out. It's like it seems like a constant balance too. Like essentially working a full time job, like especially doing physical like manual labor, then hitting the gym and
Yeah.
BMX. Like I eat clean, but sometimes it's like I feel like I'm like, am I eating like? And that's something I might need to start like. What would you recommend for someone like me that is say like, all right, manual labor full time and then gym and riding 3-4 days out of the week? It's like because I don't eat like a lot of processed carbs or processed food anyway. But I'm like doing that
Yeah,
much. I'm like, how many? I probably need a good amount of carbs, or I don't know.
yeah. I would just say uh, your carbs and fat should probably come up a bit,
Mm-hmm.
um, and protein might be able to come up a little bit too, depending on where you're eating. We don't need to dial into your nutrition stuff all on the air for people,
No, no,
but
no.
I would say in general, if you're spending more time doing activity and you're
So I
in a
was saying for someone
physically
to like, say
laborious
someone's
job,
watching this who has like a similar like works a lot, but also wants to be active outside of their normal job. Like they want to go to the gym, they want to be hiking or road biking or mountain biking. Someone that's like need the energies to do everything.
yeah, you need to. So it comes down to measuring it and managing it.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has a different, no matter like what your weight is, everyone has a different metabolic rate. So what you really need to do is you need to start tracking your food, what your intake is on a daily basis. It's good if you can be consistent for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then look at, well, first of all, am I gaining weight, maintaining weight, or losing weight? Well, if you're losing weight and you're trying to keep your performance up, then we definitely need to add calories in. And we need to find where your maintenance calories really lie and make sure you're maintaining like the current body weight that you want to be at or should be
For
at.
sure.
Um, so before going into this job, if you were, 210 pounds and now you're 200 pounds, well, yeah, we probably need to bump your calories
Mm-hmm.
up. Because that can be part of why you're injured too, is like you're not giving your body time to heal. Because if you're just working all day, using your arm, doing BMX, which is a lot of arm and grip and hand support, and then lifting weights and stuff too, like does your arm ever have a time to actually like recover and regenerate tissue?
Uh-huh.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
So, and then if you're not feeding it those nutrients to do that, then you're really shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, man, it's all about just
Finding the
making
balance that
sure,
works for you.
really, yeah. Or even sometimes people have their weight will be very situated in one area and not fluctuate too much. So sometimes like those fitness trackers, like a Whoop or an Aura Ring or even an Apple Watch, like use some of those indicators to look at like, okay, like maybe I do need to eat more, because you would probably have a pretty fast metabolism anyways based on your body type. So I would say something in there, could definitely give you some insights into, oh, I'm constantly in the red and not recovered. Like I need to add something in here.
Do you use the Whoop band?
I was for about a year and a half. I just stopped. It's like I did like a contract, so it was like $18 a month
Mm-hmm.
for a year, and then I went to month for a while, and I really got all the data out of it I needed at the time, because they're great to collect data and see insights and find trends, and I have from there. Because what's cool about the Whoop is it gives you an activity journal,
Yeah.
and that activity journal, you can select from all the different questions, and so you select which ones you want to come up daily, And then, so it's like, I took a B12 supplement today, or I had dairy today, or I had coffee today, or I had caffeine after this time, whatever. Or I wore blue blocking glasses at night. When you click them, every morning you wake up and you open the app, it'll come up with a questionnaire. So you click what you did yesterday. And over the period of a month, it'll start to tell you, hey, every time you do this, your performance goes up. Every time you do this, your performance goes down. So it starts to mark those trends.
That's pretty cool.
So once I started to correct for a lot of those trends, and I got on track, I would know when my recovery was going to be up or down. I was like, okay. Because then I kind of got hung up on the whole sleep thing of like I was becoming overzealous about trying to like maximize my sleep score and everything, and then realized it was like negatively affecting me, which some teams too professional sports teams have banned the Whoop because of the psychological aspect of like, if you wake up and you look at it, like actually the day of
sleep, you're going to like just think you're tired that day, or you're like, you didn't recover.
Yeah. So you're setting yourself up with like a placebo effect or a nocebo effect.
I think that was the biggest thing that I noticed was my sleep. Like how much better I felt when I would sleep well, and how much even just a little bit of alcohol affects your sleep.
Yep. Yeah, and Whoop will tell you those two things for sure.
Yeah.
And most of them will. But yeah, there's a whole lot that can be tracked outside of that too. Just like, yeah, like what time, like, are you just being consistent with your bedtime routine? Like that's huge.
Yeah.
For me, there was a couple different things that made factors there, but those are the big ones. So, but anyways, man, anything else you wanted to add to this?
No, I feel like we talked about it a lot, honestly.
Yeah, we did. So Matt, where can people find you online?
So my Instagram is Matt1Ray, 1 and then RAY. It would just be Matt Ray, but someone has that account and they don't even use it. And then also I have a YouTube channel, which is like Matt Ray BMX. I used to post on that a good amount, but I haven't been active in a while. But so you can see a lot of videos that we have done. And then, yeah, I guess that's really it. I only really use Instagram, no TikTok or nothing like that. I have a Facebook page as well, but my Instagram's just shared to it, really.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, for all you kids out there, definitely check out Matt's YouTube page, and your Instagram. Like, there's always cool shit you're posting. I'm always amazed by what you do.
Appreciate that.
And that you come to me for training.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on this, too. This is cool. I was psyched when you asked me.
Yeah. So we definitely have some things to go back and, like, dial in with your training now after talking about this today. And just some conditioning stuff, like maybe thinking about competitions and tapering some of your workouts down a little bit beforehand in your riding session, like duration or something. So
yeah, I
have thoughts for us, my friend.
For sure.
All right. Thank you for coming on, my friend. And to everyone else, thank you for listening. And I don't know who our next guest we're having on is, so stay tuned.
We're going to have Guy on next.
Maybe.
All right, sick. Thank you.
"84% of you that listen to this podcast frequently do not hit the follow button. If you've enjoyed any of these episodes, could you do us a favor and hit the follow button, leave a rating, and maybe leave us a review? It helps this channel more than you know, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get. If you'd like to know more about training in person or online with Brett's Gym, Architect Fitness, please follow us on social at ARKITECT Fitness on Instagram, or visit ARKITECTFitness.com. Or if you want to rehab with barbell therapy online or in person, check out @barbell.therapy or visit barbelltherapyandperformance.com. Thank you for taking the time to listen.